Hello, this is Eric Morris Eskenazi. I am the host of the Erratic Dispatches podcast. For this episode, my guest is Carlos Walker, who's an artist and he's also a very inspirational activist. I actually interviewed Carlos previously 2 years ago in 2020. At the time, he had an exhibition of his paintings at a gallery in Washington, D.C. And since then, he had published a book in November of 2020 called What If, a historical fiction novel, which is a collection of his paintings, which deal with race reversal and has political commentary in it. Carlos has been exhibiting his work in various galleries. He's spoken at universities. He's appeared on other podcasts and done interviews. And I hope you find this interview with him to be very engaging and very inspirational. All right, so Carlos, so I know that your book, collection of your artwork, What If, it was published in November of 2020. Is that correct? Yeah. So do you mind talking a little bit about like the public response since it came out and like what kind of feedback you've gotten? Like, have there been any people out there that have been really inspired by your artwork that maybe even they decided to become artists as well?
Let's see. Since then, it came out in November of 2020. Since then, I've sold over 1,800 copies, over 1,400 plus copies hand to hand.
Wow, so that's great.
Me personally, I ain't gonna say, look, hey, I haven't got the fame for that I feel, or the recognition for what I've done. But I'm reaching out, and the response that I'm getting, most people actually say, hey, I've never thought of it this way. Kind of, sort of like when you first seen the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they like it. There are a few people who I've inspired to continue to either do artwork. I don't know if I've inspired anybody to even start doing artwork, but art in itself is something that, hey, it's inspirational. When you meet somebody who has a passion for what they believe in and what they want to do, everybody gets inspired. So maybe I have helped inspire new artists.
And do you mind talking about like some of the exhibitions that you've been doing of your work since the book was published?
Since the book was published, it was 2020. My artwork has been at, I don't know if you've ever been to Washington, D.C. There's a restaurant called Busboys and Poets. And I have exhibited almost probably about 45 pieces to that one series inside that restaurant at separate times, but it's been over there over a year. I've exhibited, let me see, at the World Trade Center. I think I'd done it one time when I met you. Since then, my artwork has been exhibited at the World Trade Center 2 more times.
Wow.
Let me see. I've been to Florida, Georgia. I've exhibited in DC twice and in Baltimore twice. I don't know. Let me see. I did it this year. I did do it last year. So since me and you first did that, I think I might have did quite a few shows.
Yeah.
I was in a UK magazine called Mogul magazine. I did a picture for Gambia. Is a museum over there, and I got to do a picture from is a man that I met up here in DC, and he ended up letting me do a picture for them. They showed it virtually there, but I still got the picture, so I got to keep the original. But I've done quite a few things since then.
Wow, that's great. Have there been any like celebrities or any musicians that you know of that have seen your work, have responded to it?
They have seen the book. Like, I have met a few rappers. I've been on the road. I created that rap debate, but that was from me actually just selling the book, and because I was on a debate team while I was in prison. But in the midst of me just selling this book, I met a guy who he throws what would you like to call? He throws events, and he brings rappers. And I got to meet one rapper there at one of his events, Mike Jones, pretty big rapper back in the day. You got Busta Rhymes, one of his it was really like his hype man. I met him down in Miami for what was it? What's the big art fair that they have down there in December? Art Basel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I went this year. To me, look, hey, it was fantastic. It was really just for me, I guess, the inspiration about seeing people's art then and all these people being able to be down there. But I ended up meeting, I was walking, selling, trying to sell books. Met him down there, look, signed one off to him. I signed off probably about 3 celebrities, but I don't get I guess they haven't seen the response yet. Some people have to actually catch on later on, and then they catch on. I don't know if I told you how I came home. Did I tell you that Kim Kardashian, Van Jones, John Legend, Jared Kushner, all of these people was the reason why I came home. You remember doing March, 2018 when they was fighting for prison reform?
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, President Trump ended up signing the bill that Obama signed off in 2010 when they made it to 18-1. Now, fast forward it, what happens is President Trump ended up signing the bill because those people ended up fighting for prison reform. And crack cocaine has never been dropped down to 1-1. It's still at 18-1 right now. So that means a bunch of men are still getting locked up unjustly up under an old law or unjust law, and people are still held up under there. They can't come home because they're still held up under. Because of such, if President Trump hadn't signed the bill, I wouldn't come home till next year. If those stars had never fought for prison reform, I wouldn't be home till next year. Me and you wouldn't have never had that first interview. My artwork would never be at the World Trade Center. I had a little baby. He'll be 8 months. Look, he's a miracle. He don't even supposed to be here because I don't. Mm-hmm. Had these stars never done this, thank God for them. Look, I thank God every day for certain people. Thank Yahweh. I ain't even gonna say just God because people believe in what they believe in. I thank Yahweh for allowing somebody to work on behalf, not knowing that I existed. I came home with all this artwork in this book. Nobody look. I worked couple jobs. Next thing I know, I came home. I pushed trying to make sure that people see my artwork because I always felt that I had something. While I was in prison, I was in 3 newspapers. I wrote these newspapers and they allowed my artwork to be in it. But I kept the same momentum. God actually instills a will in you when you want to do something, make change. I haven't sold no drugs since I've been home, no nothing. I just believe that my artwork can make change for the world if people look at it.
Have you been invited to like any schools to speak to students about your artwork or your life experiences?
That's funny you asked. I spoke at Howard University accidentally. I went over there to try to sell some books and ended up, there's a Afro Cobra is a Black art group that started back in I want to say the 60s, 70s. And one of the professors that's there, he was part of this group. He, over the summer, had critiqued my work. Was it last year? Summer of 2001, I think. And he critiqued my work. And what ended up happening, one day I was over there just selling books, and I met another guy. I forgot his name. I should be punished for this. But I met him, and he was on his way to this classroom. He said, come on. We went up there, and I got to speak about my life, about my artwork, and then the professor bought some books for his students and everything. And I spoke in Baltimore at Max Gallery, and I met a teacher. I created a new way to sell books. This is crazy. So I don't have one actually on me, but I can show you with this business card. Let's see. It ain't gonna work.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh wow, yeah. It's like that.
I can't show it to you, but I took and put a QR code and put it on author. They can give you a digital book with a physical signature.
Oh wow.
Think about ebooks. You can't sign an ebook.
Mm-hmm.
I can sign my book because I took and I don't even use ebooks. I just use the QR code. I put my book on there and I sell these, and I create books this way for other authors. I created a business from out of nothing.
That's great.
Now, the thing about it is that, hold on, give me a second. I got lost. We're talking about a lot. We got a lot to talk about. But from that book, from the artwork, it's just them put me into different spaces. It allowed me to meet people such as yourself. If it wasn't for the contemporary, for Charles Claus, I wouldn't even met you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The way everything has, the Bible says the steps of a righteous person is ordered by God. If you pay attention to I ain't gonna say I'm righteous, but the way my life is transitioned, I still supposed to be in prison till next year. I've been home for 3 years. I've been here. My artwork that I created in prison and the book became an actual book. Now, I'm only trying to use it for a righteous cause to help unite people. You gave me a chance. Charles gave me a chance. A bunch of other people who think like-minded and believe that art can change the world. We have seen art do great things. Art of speech, visual art. Most people, if you think about it, or a lot of people, are visual people. When you utilize visual art to showcase or allow people to see it, things can change because people get to put themselves in other people's shoes. Most of us living in our own existence. I'm a man. How often you're a man? How often you think about being a woman? Probably never, right?
No.
Look, you live in your own existence. Yeah. So why would I think you're Jewish, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say a white guy, because even though you got pale skin, that doesn't make you. Why would a Jewish guy, unless you can visually see it or somebody has told you, why would you think about being a black guy? Have you ever thought about being a black guy?
Yeah, I have actually. I mean, like in the past, I've done some video projects with African American actors, and yeah,
see, but because you have a lot of the history and a lot of things, you will be able to adjust yourself. But if a person never been in nobody else's shoes other than their own, just a regular white guy, you ask them, have you ever thought about being black? They said no, because they live in their own existence. Mm-hmm. Now, when you take and put your thought about it, if I tell you, imagine yourself being a pregnant woman, and you have to take and do a deep thought about that. What'll happen? We'll probably, as men, treat women a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially if you get the visualization of it. Mm-hmm. If you can see this. But until then, what makes you think? What pushes or provoke the thought, the idea? Nothing. I had most of my Caucasian customers who have purchased my book. First thing they say, I never thought of it that way. So that made me think, okay, the majority of our white community are mainly visual. They go to movies, museums, they go everywhere to see things, to see paintings, pictures, art. When you think about the African American community, think about how they learn, or the music. Mm-hmm. We are mainly auditory as a whole community. You got little kids that can rap a whole song, but can't say their ABCs because how are they learning? For your white community, you take kids and they go to museums and they learn from visual ideas, visual things. And now you wonder, how do you teach people? Visualization is working for the white community once you show them. Mm-hmm. But the African American community, you learn how to talk to them, how to give them their expression and let them do it. I done seen the rap debate. The only reason why that's created because I thought about all these things. And what happened? I learned that kids was rapping songs. And when you think about rap music, some of it can influence kids or influence people who don't know that it's just entertainment to do other things, because a lot of influence is very powerful. Yeah, because of the influence, I went to prison. I ain't gonna blame just rap music. I gotta blame somebody who dropped the drugs there, but when you know that impoverished people are only talking about their lifestyle, it influences. And when you see that it's popular, it can influence the whole culture.
Mm-hmm.
Some people got rich from it. Some people died. Some people paid attention to people and realized that they were making, look, this culture is a culture that could raise a lot of money and start a lot of stuff. And people utilize that. Hey, it has also made rap a language. Rap is everywhere.
Yeah.
Look, when you think about it, there's not a country that doesn't actually listen to rap in some aspect.
Yeah.
It became a national language. Now that you know, or international language. Now that you know this, how can you teach the people who use this language the most different thoughts and ideas? Nobody's challenging our thoughts. Who challenges your thoughts?
Usually it's like maybe filmmakers, I guess, or writers, music,
no, but
artists.
But who challenges your thought as a person? Who's pushing you to be better or do better other than you?
It just depends, certain people maybe in my life, could be family members, could be close friends of mine. So even myself too, I'm really hard on myself. I'm very critical of myself. I'm trying to push myself to be better in, all aspects of life.
But see, most people don't have somebody that's going to push them, and they have never known to help push themselves. So what happens? They stay in the dump until somebody spark and tell them, hey, you great. You can be anything, unless you got examples of people who have seen that, who are this. You'll stay in the dump because that's all you've seen. Environments are important, or people that can speak into your life is important. Just using the Bible, I always use scripture. Just using the Bible, it says, life and death is in the tongue. That means if I tell you, you are great, and I say it long enough, you truly believe you're great. Would you agree?
Sure.
What happens if I tell you, or a kid is told that they ain't nothing? And what will fester? That seed must really grow, and they'll grow to become pretty much nothing until somebody tell them something different.
All right.
But anyway, let's get to your other questions. I know you got more questions.
So tell me about like some of the more recent, horrible events that have been going on in this country with racism. Like, have you done any artworks, that reflected that? Or are you currently working on anything right now?
As we both know, well, I don't know if you've seen some of my artwork over the last dealing with race. I have did everything that I've created, I guess, deals with Black and white people, or dealing with race in some aspect. I just did a picture. It says it's asking for an anti-Black hate crime bill. 10 people died in Buffalo, New York at the Tops. And a manifesto was wrote. The manifesto spoke about the Jewish community. The Jewish community received an basically Semitic bill behind that. You are familiar with that, right?
Yes.
10 people died. Nobody died from the Jewish community. I'm still glad y'all got a bill, but 10 people died, and nobody's even spoke about an anti-hate crime, Black hate crime bill. So I did create this big picture, and what it says, let me see if I can find it. It's somewhere. It's 48 by 60. Let me see, where's my camera so I can turn this around. Oh no, it ain't gonna show it for some reason. Oh man, I know what it is. I got the back screen on where it only shows the person.
Oh, okay.
That's what's messing it up. But what it actually says, I can't tell you what it says myself. It says 10 Black people killed in Buffalo, New York by Peyton S. Gentry. 9 Black people killed in Charleston's church massacre by Dylan Roof. It has President Biden, America, and Congress. We need an anti-Black hate crime bill now. It has the word nigger written in blood, or in red, look like blood. George Floyd's name, Tamir Wright, Ahmaud Arbery's name, Sean Bell. It has spook, police brutality. Sandra Bland's name, Coon. And in certain spots, I took a BB gun and I shot this. And I made it look like bullet holes because some of these people have actually been killed. And I'm gonna walk around with this for the next, just say 2-3 months, or as long as I can, to get somebody to do something. Because I understand that if we don't use our voice, my voice came when I was in prison. Biggest thing that could have happened to me is while I got locked up, I learned that I had a voice through my art. Another picture that I drew was are you familiar with Jay-Z, and I think it was Will Smith did what is it called? They did something based on Mamie Till. Something about the women's movement. It was during Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was watching this, I ended up watching the whole series. It was great series, and taught me a lot about Mamie Till. But what I learned was this. I ended up doing some pictures, and I took white. My first picture I done was of an old white lady, and she's watering her plant. But on the plant, it's some little black bodies that are hung, and it's called Strange Fruit. Wow. But I ended up making a whole collection. The next picture is of a young, of an old man, and he's holding his daughter, and she's reaching at a tree. But on this tree is little black bodies of black people, farmers, just a clergyman, one that is been castrated, and mm-hmm. of one dude burning one of the bodies, and it's called that one is part of the Strange Fruit collection. And then the last one I done was of a little white boy, and he's harvested. He got some little, clippers in his hand, where he just clipped one of the people off, and he's holding a handful of them, like a cluster of them. And the whole is just one collection. I did quite a few pictures. Most of them are disturbing, but it's because you have to understand what lynchings are. We can erase this stuff. I'm not trying to erase it, and I'm not trying to push it down people's throat.
Yeah.
But what I do want to know, if we have a conversation, open conversation, we can change the way we move. Mm-hmm. Art brings about, it's a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let's have that 1,000-word conversation.
Yeah, right. And do you think you might do like a follow-up book, to What If, like a second collection of artwork?
The idea is to do one, but it's to do all of the achievements.
Yeah.
Because I didn't pretty much, I think you can say, showed all of the trauma, but this isn't a traumatizing story.
Yeah.
If you actually think about it, you're Jewish, so I can speak about the Hebrews, Hebrew people. When they was going through Egypt, 400 years to me, and it ain't no coincidence. This means something. But during this 400 years, just like the Hebrew, they came out of slavery. During this, we have came out of slavery. We did that 240 years ago. This is just it's still oppression. Mm-hmm. Your next 8 years was Reconstruction. You're familiar with Reconstruction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Black people, but look, they started reading. They was able to read legally. They was able to start. They built schools. They did a lot of stuff in 8 years.
Yeah.
But and I did a picture on this. I got to send you these pictures. Look, they mind blowing. It shows from a seed all the way up into a rose bush. But what happened is Jim Crow came. And during Jim Crow, a lot of people were hung. A lot of things happened. But in this story, Black Wall Streets were created. Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You had Greenwood. You had different places all the way around America where Black people actually built up stuff. This ain't a bad story. It's just traumatizing because it's never ending. It's kind of like the Holocaust. Mm-hmm. But the Holocaust did stop for a certain point. look, thank God they ain't still doing that no more.
Mm-hmm.
But it was for a short. How many years was the Holocaust? 8 years.
Yeah, it was for like about that period of time. Yeah.
8 years, but then it stopped. So
Mm-hmm.
the trauma stopped, and y'all still continue to pass that history down. For us, our trauma hasn't stopped. Mm-hmm. This is the traumatizing stuff. Most of us actually have PTSD, but mm-hmm. have to go to work every day. We have to deal with the look. If you ask 90% of your Black people, I'm saying 98, ask them, how did it make them feel to see them 10 Black people die? At that, which one? They said they were hurt. Most of them said they just desensitized. What makes this happen? How do you not feel bad about people that look like you and know it could have been your mama, your child, somebody of that nature? But because you don't, you'll become desensitized and still have to work, still have to do things. You don't even think about it could have been you. But our voices matter. You don't realize it. Getting that bill, it matters. Getting people like yourself that will listen to people like me who had to go to prison and learn something, so then he can come out here and be a voice that will speak, that will walk around with a whole picture based about trying to get a bill that we should have been had. They should have gave that out when Dylan Roof did that.
Yeah.
They probably should have gave it out when some of the other stuff happened. But guess what? It's okay. In time, God chooses who he will to raise up people. He used Moses, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Look, Moses came, hey, let my people go. If I have to walk around with this picture and ask them for a bill until it happened, until somebody take knowledge and realize that, hey, I'm out there with this, I will do so. I'm an artist. Remember, I only supposed to be here till next year. So technically, I'm here as a miracle to, hey, probably make something happen. I wrote a book that was in reverse. Look, there's been movies. Come to find out, there was a movie called White Man's Burden back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. John Travolta and Harry Belafonte was starred in this movie. Hey, I would love to meet Harry Belafonte before he died. The man is in his 90s. Mm-hmm. And what he's been through, what he's seen, what made them even, I know it was an Asian guy who created the movie, but what made them want to even do that? That was astronomical. It had never been done. Now, fast forward, a couple other people have tried it. I did it in art. I wrote a book. You utilize the artistic gifts or the artistic abilities to shape minds. If we use this, they got critical race theory. You got to think about it. Look, I done came out of prison with this book and all this stuff at a perfect time. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with eras, right? Like, say, like the Harlem Renaissance era.
Yes. Yeah.
Think about life this way. In 10, 15, 20 years, what we're going to be able to look at and think about is your Black Lives Matter era. Mm-hmm. From 2000, just say 2010, 11, somewhere up until now, you have had a consistent basis of an era of Black people doing Black art, doing Black stuff, trying to figure out how to raise awareness. I was in prison, created a book, created a bunch of art. In 10, 15 years now, the art will be astronomical. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you look, but I didn't even know that if you Google my name, what pops up? You know, look, I'm pretty sure you know this. Your podcast is published.
Yeah.
And because of that, that's part of my resume.
Yeah.
Look, I got a whole lot of stuff that pops up when you look my name up. This gives me a notability amongst certain people. Certain people listen to your podcast. They're gonna end up listening to this conversation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What happens? How does this art move forward? How can we move and change the world? We're trying to unite and make difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have you ever like thought about Carlos, like some collective art groups will like take certain artworks and then they'll use like a projector outside, to sort of like project something. Have you ever thought about taking some of your artworks with a group and they'll use a projector projected against the wall, or against a monument, let's say against something that's considered to be racist, and you're kind of protesting against that,
I haven't never thought about it, and you just gave me a hell of an idea. I can buy a projector and I can do, because I've sold majority of my books in DC. I've sold over 1,000 books right there in front of the African American Museum from last August till now. Right down the side of the street. No, and I put my signature in all of them. Signature and phone number. There's gonna be a point in time. People gonna think I'm crazy, but at least I do get to. You have be my witness on this, because you do know, hey, I'm gonna be walking around with this big picture. Mm-hmm. So I ain't gonna be looked at as too crazy, because me and you had a conversation, and mm-hmm. I was fighting for something. But what's gonna happen is eventually there's a few things. You believe in manifestation?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. While I was in prison, I said 3 things. I said, I'm leaving prison this year. I said it 15 times a day for a year and a half. The next thing, and I wrote it down. The next thing I said was the world is going to see my artwork. I said it 15 times a day for a year and a half. The next thing I said was, I am a millionaire. I've seen 2 of the 3 things come true. I've been out of prison for 3 years, but I don't supposed to be here till next year. I think I already told you this. I love repeating this to people. What happened is, the second thing I said was, the world is looking at my artwork. I have exhibited my artwork. I just told you, World Trade Center 3 years in a row. I have did a picture for Gambia. I've been in a UK magazine called Mogul magazine. I have exhibited in DC twice, exhibited in Baltimore twice. I have been in a couple newspapers, 1, 2, 3. I've been on the news. I was on news during Black History Month. Was a year before, like 2020. Twice. I got about 4,500 followers on Instagram. I ain't saying all of them done seen the artwork, but it's getting there. I have that little card I created that I told you, the new way I sell my books. I have passed out over 3,000 of those. So that means technically my book, if they scan the QR code and send it to people, if they do it for 10 people, that's over 30,000 people I done actually put my books hands in. And they can keep forwarding it to everybody. I go on Instagram and just send it to them, just so many people can take and download it. Why? Because we need to change the mindset of people about how we see each other. This is the only way that we change this world or change racism. My artwork, because of people like you, people who believe in change, this is the only way that we make change, is when we know that we have a voice. Voices are powerful. What I'm trying to do is gather as many voices together. That's how we'll get that anti-hate Black Brown bill. They gave us a lynching bill. Let me ask you a question. Is anybody still taking pictures with people after they hang them?
Now, maybe they do it privately. We just probably don't know about it. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Look, this is like a waste of time. They ain't doing it out in public. So I thank God for the elder who actually reached out and tried and been reaching, trying to get that bill for forever. But we need something a little bit more purposeful. Mm-hmm. A bill soon in, hey, I hate to say it, look, yes, we need police until you learn how to govern yourself. But when you are being hunted down instead of treated as a civilian, this doesn't make sense. You got a guy who killed 10 people was calmly taken into custody. You got people who are shot and killed for running. It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. What's the mind state and what's being taught to these people, or what has been taught through the system to make you see visual, you spoke about movies, visual things mess people up. sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can go to work every day with a black person and see black people go to work, but because you have seen some on TV and it has constantly tapped your brain about who is a criminal and who does what, this is the only thing that you believe in, opposed to believing in human contact.
Mm-hmm.
How we see people. Why isn't there on the news black men who do? Why don't you show them in their light, being that everything is being that we know how people are being looked at. Let people see people like myself, somebody who came out of prison that did well or is doing well, who's taking his art and trying to use his art to change the way the culture is. Nobody likes to show this. People like you will, but if the news did it, you'll look at people different. You can encourage people.
Right. Yeah. I have a question like about that, like with the media, because I know like usually, with like public access, or like nonprofits, that's probably the only avenue where people can actually voice, like I think like real news or real viewpoints, because the media is so messed up, and skewed, and commercialized and and corrupt,
Mm-hmm.
Like,
what was your question?
So have you like had a chance to appear like any like, public access shows like where you live, like to talk about the issues and your artwork?
I did one public access. I think that was on channel 10 in Alexandria. That was when I first came home. I haven't done it since. But other than like little podcasts, things of that nature, I have been on a couple. Like I said, I'm even trying to figure out how to get this little rap debate pushed, because I don't know how to do the podcast. I don't know. I'm learning how to do certain things, and I got like 20 things that I'm trying to do at one time.
Yeah.
My main thing is now learning how to structure myself so that I can actually figure out how to get more access to people where I can do public access. You came up with a perfect idea. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get my money rolling where I can get a surplus and I'm not behind. That way I can also get that projector and start shooting that. Look, that projector, main idea. Because I can shoot my artwork over images. Is one in I stay in Halifax. Well, I'm born in Halifax County, Virginia, and they have a monument that's right there. And I don't even know if anybody paid attention to it or read it, but I ain't saying take it down. I say put something right beside it that represents everybody else. Because how do you represent the losing team? These people lost. When we watch basketball, if LeBron is with who now? Not the Lakers, is he?
I forgot what team he's on. I don't really follow sports.
Yeah, I'm not in sports either. You see him. Look, just imagine if you got the Cowboys and Redskins. If the Redskins lose, now I don't normally see the Redskins team celebrating when they lost. Now these people lost. They still won, or over it seems like it mentally. But to lose the fight and be still represented as, you know what I mean, like they are all the way around America. You got to think about this was everywhere. These statues came up after 1948. All these statues wasn't built before then. They was built after. So who funded all these statues? Most of your counties. And how and what happened? Because they're everywhere. And we are just now even talking about somebody talking about pulling them down. I said put something that represents somebody else too, right beside it. Hey, it'll balance itself out. Losing team, winning team. Look, look.
Hello, thanks for listening to the Erratic Dispatches podcast. We'll be back shortly after a brief break. Hello, I've been using Anchor.fm now for about almost a year for the podcast Erratic Dispatches, which is distributed through Anchor.fm. It's completely free to use, very easy, and any audio that you upload or record through the website, it will be you can use it to organize your audio files and Once your podcasts are ready to submit, it will be available to stream within at least 8 different streaming sites. So I love I love that idea, Carlos, about evening it out. 2 representations next to each other.
Yeah, because it gives you more. It gives you a balance. Hey, okay, the people fought, they lost. These people won. These people actually helped fight with them. Show a Black representation right beside them. Yeah. Hey, it gives more balance to, instead of, look, if they built for their heritage and they love what they love, okay, I'm cool with it. I ain't even trying to take that away from you. What did it do for you? It made you hateful. It took and did nothing of semblance for the next people. Hey, if you want to stay in the past, stay in the past. Everybody else trying to move towards the future and trying to build something together.
And how do you feel about like when I was at university, I took a class about representations of African Americans in film and television, and the guy who taught it, his name was Donald Bogle. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he wrote a book about like the main stereotypes of African Americans in film since the beginning. It's like the mammy character, the buck character, the coon character, and he talked about like different representations throughout film history. He showed us like film clips. We would watch films about it. And what do you feel about people that look at certain artwork, or whether it's paintings or film or music, where back then it was like people were just, I guess, whatever, more open about it? And about, how do you feel that people should cancel certain artworks, or you think that they should, like, for example, the Disney movie, like, Song of the South? Like, I saw that film when I was a little kid, because this was before Disney pulled it from circulation. And the people saying, well, Disney shouldn't actually hide that film. They should actually allow it to, be available on physical media, because you can watch it and you can learn from the past about what not to do now in the current field. Like, what's your viewpoint about that?
Me as an artist, why would you get rid of it? Mm-hmm. This is how you learn, like you just said, how you learn what not to do. Or, okay, these people were racist. They use certain stereotypes. We understand now that, fast forward, all of us aren't that way. The majority ain't. We understand that Black people ain't stupid. We understand that all white people ain't racist. But how do you move forward if you get rid of everything? You can't hide it. Hiding it is only, or taking it away, that makes the people think that it never existed. How about showing how far we have came and how far we can grow? Okay, let's write a plan out. Mostly everything is planned out. In the next 10 years, how about we all come to an agreement that, guess what? We can have a conversation about racism and get past the past. Yes, this has happened. Yes, you did. Some of your people did this. You may even feel this way about this. Guess what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to move forward past this. Life is not hard if you learn to communicate.
And can you talk a little about, I know you said you work right now, you're working on like is it a graphic novel or a comic book?
Yeah, I've been working on it for the last 2 years. You remember when George Floyd died? Okay, what I ended up doing, I was watching or looking at a couple, what would be, on Netflix, you had The Punisher. You ever watch The Punisher?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Man, you ought to see this. Look, when I tell you graphic, this is graphic. Murder and mayhem from the inception of it to the end. The second one that I used to watch was, I think it was Luke Cage, and then you got you have Black Lightning. You can even think about Black Panther if you want to go at it. And I looked at them, and neither one of them, you never seen no murder, mayhem. You've seen strong Black people, but they're weak. You got a regular white guy, not one power other than firepower, shooting his way out of everything, killing everybody. His family died. He avenged his family. And I thought about that, and I said, hold up, I can create a comic book, I believe. And I ain't finished it yet. I'm over 60% done. But what I did, I took this character. You ever watched the movie Detroit?
Yeah. Yeah, when the Catherine Bigelow did that movie. Yeah, I saw that film.
And you remember the guy, he pretty much let the police go at the end. They went to court, and he didn't. When they went to court, he didn't let them know, man, the people killed him. So in my comic book, there's a young 25-year-old, and he grew up during the time of Trayvon Martin, all these people. But his grandfather is the guy who was in Detroit. I used this character. But what he did, the guy in the older gentleman went back and he assassinated or killed the guys who did the killing. So he taught his son to become an assassin. And the only people that they're killing are people who harm the Black community. So what he do, he goes and his father, my character's father, teaches him. But he grew up in this era. His first kill on the comic book is a guy. His name is Jorge Timmerman. I ain't gonna say where they came from, but you pretty much can guess. And that was his first kill. I got the news people in it. I can send you the script, let you see it too. It's pretty graphic. But I did. It goes into his backstory. His father was a Black Panther. Taught him how to. He graduated at the age of 13. He is a 25-year-old surgeon. It just goes through his whole back history of how he learned, and then how he goes and pretty much become, I guess you could say, what do they call Batman? Not a vigilante. He's pretty much just a vigilante that is fighting for right. Even though it may seem wrong how he's doing it, hey, he's fed up, or his family was fed up about what was happening, and he just fell into the culture of his family history. But it's actually pretty deep.
Wow. And I know you sent me like when the video you did of the debate, like the rap hip hop debate. So how many have you done so far, like total?
I did just that one through video. The second one that I did, it was on LinkedIn. I did it a couple weeks ago. There's a few people that I ended up meeting on LinkedIn, and they're into pretty much giving people a voice. And they let me speak on there one time before. And me and the lady, her name is Future Kane. She is a gem when it comes to advocacy. And she gave me a chance to take and do the debate on her show, and it went well. So what I'm trying to do is figure out how to move it to the next level. I need help on pretty much everything, because look, in life, you can come to a ceiling, and by yourself, you can only get yourself but so far. The way that you make it to the next level is going to be with others. And pretty much that's what I need. Somebody who will sit down with me and listen to what I do got, and help me structure this stuff out and make everything where it benefits the entire whole. Because my main thing is just to help my community, the African American community, but also help all of us unite together to really be with that little Declaration of Independence said, we the people. The people ain't guiding this thing. It's a few people in high places that are moving this thing around, keeping people disturbed, keep people confused and broke up. It's when all of us learn to gather together and be able to have a conversation. How is it we allowing people who don't even care about us as a whole run the whole?
I want to know, like, I don't know if you've done this yet or not, but like with your first book, What If, like, have you ever like done like almost like a slideshow, sort of like an audio book, where you sort of narrate the different paintings or give some like historical perspective?
I haven't. Now, there's a guy that I was talking with, and what he was supposed to do with me, he was supposed to take, and we was going to redo the book. I got look, I don't even think it's been done. We supposed to take and revamp my book, but we're going to take and put QR codes at the bottom that takes you straight to an original picture, or straight from out of somewhere off online or something that gives you the real detail of what my picture is representing. I don't think a book has been done like this, but I'm waiting on him. For some reason, I ain't really heard from him. Most people who I've met so many people since I've been selling this book. And in due time, we'll all gather back together. It'd be like a little web. I'm gonna be the centerpiece and everything else will come together, and it'll be a lot of stuff. But hey, it's a process to get there.
I could also imagine like you working with somebody to develop like an app. That could also work as like an app as well, interactive app with the paintings.
I thought about the metaverse. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you can take and create a whole world out of this book, mm-hmm. where people can go and actually see what it looks like to be in reverse. They're doing so much stuff right now, and that I can use. But guess what? I have to have the right people. Even with NFTs, I could have made so much money if the right people was to know that I existed, or I could have been and helped so many people. My main thing is to help people. People in prison. One thing I learned from being there, because technically, if you've seen where I grew up at, you'd be like, yo, you didn't have to sell drugs, and I didn't. It was a choice for me, mm-hmm. where it's not always a choice for everybody else. Mm-hmm. My prison time, I can show you where I graduated to higher levels in selling drugs, even where I'm from. I'm from a little small place, but I sold drugs, and I don't have a small mind. So to see me come home from selling drugs with a product, with material, push it this far. This wasn't me. This is God even opening up doors for me. Like even Mr. Charles, messed around, and that was like God just opened up a door. I looked at Art Forum one day and found it in DC. I called for about 3 months straight. Nobody never answered. One day somebody answered. I told him, hey, can I come over there and show you my artwork? He said, yeah, come on. I went over there, showed it to him. He allowed me to be to do an exhibition. It was his last one. Mm-hmm. And when you look at that and look at the significance of how things have just fell into place, he's the same reason why I got put into Busboys and Poets. I've been there for a whole year. This is a major restaurant in DC. Look, mm-hmm. I got to build a whole resume, and utilizing the art, utilizing everything. I know I'm called to do something with my art to make people see life from a different standpoint. Maybe it's just to treat people better, to get a broad conversation, so then we all can unionize and make life what maybe Martin Luther King really meant when he said, instead of what we thought this was, because this was a facade that we've been dreaming. We thought everything that came to was all peaceful. Sometimes I thank God for, look, President Trump. We start seeing bits and pieces of this stuff during Obama's when the police was making monkey faces, putting gold teeth in mm-hmm. Obama's mouth. Mm-hmm. We seen that during Obama's era, from police departments in Florida, mm-hmm. and around the country. Then we seen President Trump come in the era. Mm-hmm. It was already building. It was already there.
Yeah.
It's just we don't acknowledge what was there.
Yeah.
Me, I got to see a lot of it because I was, as I like to say, on the sideline. People who are in the game, they can't see what's in the game. You done played chess before, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Look, when you're on the sideline, you can see both opponents and how they're messing up. When you are in the game, you're only looking because you're focused on, yes, you're looking at the board. You're trying to think steps, but you can't see the whole board. I've been on the sideline. I was on the sideline for 13 years, looking at this whole game. And what I seen was a bunch of stuff. I learned about my culture. I learned about American culture because I'm still American. But I learned about how we could utilize and how we could use things to make life a lot easier for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Have you been applying for any kind of art grants and stuff?
Nope. Recently? I really don't even know how to do it. I applied for one grant only, and that was for the rap debate. because I actually I want to see that. I could actually see that as a TV show, teaching kids.
Yeah.
And that's one of my aims, to make that into a TV show. Now, as the art grants, I don't know where to look and what to shoot for. You gotta remember, I've never been to school for art. Everything I've learned up until now was from me reading books. I probably should. It's got to be something that I can Google and just Google art grants in Virginia. Because I should get a there was one grant I looked at, but I think it's over. It was commemorating the 400 years of African Americans being in, or Africans being in America. And what happened, I think when I looked it up, it was dead. It was over. If I could have caught that grant, what I could have did, my artwork is going to be historical. It's already historical now, because it's 61 pictures. I own 57 of them, and everything is in reverse from slavery all the way up until now. This is historical. Now, how I can get them to historically set it as a not a monument, but similar to a monument, is how I do everything. I could write a grant, but I don't know how to write a grant. That's another your next part. Grant writing is detailed and extreme. Now, what I can do, I can quit being lazy and sit down and learn, or I can pay somebody. My money ain't all there right now. Right now, I'm trying to sell artwork. Some of my other pieces that I've created recently, I'm trying to sell some of this artwork to actually get money, make sure I pay bills, so I can continue to create art.
Yeah, like I totally see you getting grant money, definitely, for your work, or even if you decide to do an app, you can probably get money for that. Get some people to develop the app for you.
And all of this, I did put the debate into the rap debate into. There's these group that is a mentorship group about rap and how to move rap forward, and I submitted the rap debate to them.
Yeah.
And now I'm waiting to hear back from them. They giving out a $10,000 stipend, and they're mentoring the whomever it is that's putting it together. They will be mentoring me to see how we can make this where it be beneficial to the whole. Because in your lower level Black community, rap, kids are growing up being able to rap. They start at 4 years old. By the time they turn 20, they experts. They can speak about anything. What's not happening, nobody's catching them, seeing how this could be beneficial if you put education to it. They're just letting them freestyle, just letting them just rap. You could take, and it can be a battle of the minds. You can take and give them a topic. I did it once on that one. I used I think it was black on black crime. And what you do, you allow them debating. Debating is a language in itself. And what happens? Iron sharpens iron. After me and you debate about anything, you're going to leave with my conversation, and I'm going to leave with yours. Anybody that runs up against you with the same argument, you'll be able to use both of your conversations now, which is their argument and that person's, to argue that person. When you leave that person, you still leave with more information. Debating, that's the reason why they still use it in certain platforms. Presidential debates, Congress. After you learn how to use debate, there's nothing that you can. There was debates in almost every community that you can think about. Debate is the biggest language. Now, you add rap. Rap is a language that your underprivileged people actually speak. It started there. They learned they mastered that. We speak, it's certain words I can say, you probably ain't gonna know what it means. And it's just because, guess what? We learned a different language, same language, different words. If I said, what does flex mean to you? You probably know what it means, but what does it mean?
To flex?
Yeah, to flex.
I don't know if I would have the right context. I don't know. I just think of like muscular.
See, in our community, Flexing could be, look, having a lot of money, showing it.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you're flexing. You're showing, yes,
Mm-hmm.
your muscle, but
Mm-hmm.
you're showing, hey, what you got.
Mm-hmm.
We use words. We create words. Look, our language is totally different.
Yeah.
We're still creating words on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
These kids are creating words. What you do, you utilize everything that they know and you make it where it works. They are creating, just use this and add education to it. They become 10 times smarter. Add the debate, because debating ain't nothing but this is what lawyers do. In front of a judge, you have two lawyers. Whose ever argument can sway the jury wins the game, wins the freedom or whatever, or the person going to jail. These ain't nothing but debates. They teach this. This debate is one of your biggest skills that they teach for lawyers, for negotiating, everything. How do you move people? You can take rappers, these young rappers, and make them into lawyers.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
But nobody knows, or nobody's paying attention to the skill that they have and what it can be used for. It's a lot of stuff. I learned most of the stuff while I was in prison. Like I said, I did while I was there, I did we was on the debate team. They had it for not even a long time, but on the debate team, it taught me how to voice, how to be able to speak. And I wish we could have done it for a long time, because I would have been 10 times better, but I got the experience to know what debate can be, how powerful it is.
Do you mind talking about like any upcoming projects you have, like of the summer or anything? Do you have, or do you want to let the listeners know this podcast? Like, do you have any exhibitions, or any stuff that's going to be shown in public spaces over the summer season? Or
right now I do not. Right now I'm trying to figure it out myself where I can exhibit it. Because most of the time that, like as I tell you, I do shoot my shot to people. Mm-hmm. But most of it is just like on the whim. Like I just had the week that just passed, my artwork was exhibited at the World Trade Center. That's just marked the 3rd year. I didn't even get to make it up there. I wish I could have, but it's cool. What I got to do now is look around and see where I can actually exhibit, who I can get to really lock in. Right now is the best time for me personally to be able to show my work.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of art galleries here in New York City where I live. So you can probably look into like art galleries in Brooklyn where I live, or in Manhattan, the Bronx.
Yeah, I've been actually trying to I've been trying to sell artwork, but I got to figure out how to get the right scheme to actually do it. Because if you're not doing it, a lot of people use the online.
Yeah.
What I mean by schemes, I've been doing like just using people contacts that I've met, and that's not really, it can sell, but if I learn how to reach a lot more people, I can actually get a lot more art sold, or I get to reach and touch a lot more people, which actually is a numbers game. More people you contact, more you actually got a benefit at probably getting the artwork done.
Do you ever like use like TikTok to publicize your work?
Now I have been using it. They say you can get paid on TikTok after 1,000, after you get up to 1,000 people. I'm at like 880 something. So I am boosting that up, and I'm trying to figure out how to utilize it. Like my just say my girlfriend or my wife. If you look at the cover of that book, me and her been together since I was in prison. That's whose face on there. And she has a huge story herself. So her story, how she met me, everything, I'm trying to also learn how to utilize stuff so I can help her. She ended up losing her leg from a car accident. And had some ups, had some downs. When I say huge story. But she has a lot of people that she can help. But what I had to learn how to do is utilize that, get myself there, or figure out how to do certain things, share with her, and help her get there too. That way she can utilize her voice, allow her voice to be heard. Because her story, once you hear her story, you be like, hey, you might think mine is sad. I mean, is a piece of cake.
I know, like when we spoke like 2 years ago on the previous podcast, like I was asking if like have you considered like have you like commissioning some of your work with like musicians, like a cover of a CD or something like that?
Gotta find somebody who's interested. Like
yeah.
I did a cover of a book for this guy, and man, tough piece. I actually wish I still had the I don't even own no rights to this at all. I gave complete rights over to this guy, but because it was for his book. But he did say he would acknowledge me in it. But the picture itself was actually a deep picture. He wanted imagine a football player in the middle. You see some slaves on the side, and then at the bottom is a chain that's tied from the slave to the football player, but from the football player to the draft. If you actually remember or pay attention to the draft is similar to slaves being sold. You got black bodies for the most part. You do have white people who are there, but for the most part, when you think about your football field, the majority of it is black. They end up using them like workhorses. At one point in time, they said that black people wasn't smart enough to be quarterbacks. That's the reason why you didn't see a bunch of black quarterbacks. I think one of the few, Warren Moon, there was a couple right before him, but this was very few. But then as you grow, you come to find out that it was a lie. How we have been held back is crazy. But when you look at that with this picture, I'm gonna send it to you too. It shows you the semblance from slavery, when they sold people, built their bodies up, made sure they was big and strong, all the way up until now, where they're still doing the same thing. Yes, they are paying them, but think about your top percent or your owners. These are almost similar to some of your slave masters back then. Some of them football players can't do certain stuff. If they do, they contracts get taken. They actually get sold and traded all. I mean, people take what they take because it's money. And when you think about it, you're trying to make it out of the ghetto, out of something, trying to transition yourself to be paid. But these billionaires, they get filthy rich off of bodies. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand that we're chasing money. We done turned into a gladiator, kind of like the Romans. Gladiators, they fought hard because they got paid. They got prestige for doing so. But at the end of the day, they were still pretty much slaves to the people who was old. Hell, all of us slaves until you own your own time, right? Yeah. Like you get paid off the podcast and probably other things. You own your time for the most part, right?
I have a day job too, so.
Okay, until that is gone.
Yeah.
Look, owning your own time to me is when you become free.
Yeah.
I learned this while I was in prison. I got free when I came home. That was a level of freedom. Then it went from there to me getting off probation. That's another level of freedom. Yes, I was working a job, but me being able to sell my books and sell art to make a living became another level of freedom. I'm still stuck right now because I got to figure out ways to make money. You got to live. But once I get that next level of freedom, that would be, to me, $1 million, or just being able to not have to worry about certain things. Yeah. That's another level. But there's another one. I can be free, but the people ain't free. Then you're still stuck. Harriet Tubman went back to free the people. Why? Because she understood that what good is it if I'm the only person free? Yeah. If I can't enjoy it with other people. So she went all the way back because those were the people that she knew that she could help. Then it just became a cycle. Help the people. The more you help people, if you could have $1 million, you would help a lot of more people, right?
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't want
Look,
to be like Jeff Bezos, who just keeps all the money or blows it on a stupid rocket launch. You know what I mean?
let me ask you a question. What are you asking God for?
What do I ask God for?
Yeah,
A lot,
yeah.
lot, a lot of different things. You know,
No, I'm just saying, are you asking him for a certain amount of money so that you can help?
I don't. I would like to help. If I had the money, I would like to help a lot of people. Of course,
Look,
be a benefactor.
this is the thing. Most of us don't ask God for anything.
Mm-hmm.
We get what we give. I can only speak from the Bible. I haven't just read just the Torah, but the Torah is there. Don't know a lot of principles. But God says that he'll give you stuff abundantly. He's kind of like your real father. When you was growing up, you had your real father?
Yeah, he's still around. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what he would do, take care of all your needs.
Mm-hmm.
When you ask for certain things, depending on what it is, I
Mm-hmm.
give it to you now. But depending on what it is, if you had asked for a car at 3 years old, he probably wouldn't have gave it to you. He would have gave it to you at 16 when you were prepared.
Mm-hmm.
This is how God does. He said, ask, seek, and you look, and knock. You look, if you seek, you should find. If you knock, you'll get your answer. What are you asking God for? Most of us aren't. Look, only reason why I can tell you this, I started asking. I asked to come home. Look,
Mm-hmm.
wrote it down, spoke it, wrote it down, but it also says faith without works is dead. Now, I wrote it down, I spoke it first. The word was God, the word was with God, the word was made flesh. What is you speaking? What are you asking God for? Most people ask for bills to be paid, certain things to be handled, but they're never asking for anything bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you go read most of these books, have you ever heard of the book The Secret?
Yeah, I've heard that book. Yes.
Look, this book, yes, it gives you biblical principles, but it tells you that, look, you can speak things into existence. You can write things down. And look, the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. It's some more to it, but write the vision, speak it. Faith without works is dead. Add the work.
Hello, thanks for listening to the Erratic Dispatches podcast. We'll be back shortly after a brief break.
Look, we have books these days that tell you how to become a millionaire, how to do this, how to do that. A lot of these people, I just looked at Jim Ron is a dude. If you go to Google, go to YouTube and Google his videos, he gives you a whole thing to do. Most of the stuff, if we pay attention to it, listen to it, follow directions, people have already done most of the stuff that we are trying to do. You can lessen five. He said, look, you can lessen 5 years off of your life of you trying to do something somebody have already done. You just take a read a book.
Mm-hmm.
I actually believe it now. I done it before. I started reading while I was in prison, and it taught me. I read The Secret. I tried half of this stuff, and what I seen then that it works. My mama
Mm-hmm.
taught me how to believe. She said, "Look, pack your bags." Now I wrote the book. I prayed and asked God to help me to give me something that helped me make money. He gave me artwork. He gave me a book. I started reading books that told me you can speak things into existence, write things down. Next thing I know, my mama, she had told me, look, start pack your bags and unpack. Now I didn't understand the unpack. What she was trying to do is give me the principle.
Mm-hmm.
She said, pack your bags. I said, okay, bet. After 3 years, I decided to try it. Something happened. It just clicked. Probably from reading these books, they told me, look, speak it every day to yourself. I said, I'm leaving prison this year. The world is going to see my artwork. I am a millionaire. Next thing I know, I started writing it down 15 times a day. Just start writing stuff down. Next thing I know, my mama, she told me, pack my bags. I said, you know what? I'm going to try this. I told my homeboy, I said, look, people may think I'm crazy, but I'm only doing what my mama told me. She said, pack your bags. Look, it's going to look weird, but I need somebody to know what I'm going to do because I'm not trying to think or have somebody think I'm crazy. I packed my bags Every day I would walk to R&D. I used to work in R&D. R&D is where people come in and people leave. I would dap people up and tell them, hey, man, go out there and do some good stuff. Look, next thing I know, I would go over there to that door and look out the window and imagine myself leaving. They say, everything starts here. The Bible tells you, as a man thinketh, so is he. Mm-hmm. Look, the question is how big do you even want your podcast to be? How many voices do you want to speak to? You can write this down. You can put this number down and keep working. Be persistent. It also says in the Bible, it says, the race is not won by the swift nor the strong, but to him who endures. Look, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to do the same thing you do. But they're going to fall off because they're going to get it fast. They might have a lot of money. They might be stronger. It's to him who endures to the end who wins the race. Mm-hmm. Right. Look, the tortoise. You remember the tortoise? The tortoise and the hare. The hare dashed off. He was stronger and swifter, but he got lapped. The tortoise endured to the end. Mm-hmm. Even though he was slow. Mm-hmm. Look, it's principles and all this stuff, but sometimes we don't see it because, hey, they seem like little cartoons. Most of the stuff we don't even pay attention to. Your mind is the strongest thing that we have. Then I would say your voice, because as you speak, you can hear yourself. As you hear yourself, it's tapping into your mind. The more you speak it, the more it goes into your mind, and the manifestation, it will come. It's all about what you're telling yourself. Somebody tell you you're great, I can speak life into you because I tell you you're great. But you can speak life into yourself when you tell yourself you're great, that I am a millionaire, that I'm leaving prison this year, that the world gonna see my artwork. Now look, the world is looking at my artwork in some aspect. It's about to get bigger. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Look, I'm no longer in prison. The $1 million is already here. It had to tap in here first. Last year, I got the feeling of it, and that's the feeling of freedom. But now it's going to manifest itself. But I have to be in line and in tune with everybody that can help move the vision forward. Alignment is everything. If you believe in God, he aligns you with everybody that you need to. Me and you met because of Charles. Me and Charles met because I messed around and looked at art form. I messed around and then Kim Kardashian them helped me come home. She messed around and got one of my books last January. She don't even know this book is probably in her existence. What's going to happen in due time, I'll sell over 1 million copies of my book. That's no problem. How do this book get in the right hands? How do I impact the world to make this a better place? What is my purpose in life? My purpose is to make sure I let people know about God. Look, I cannot be here had it not been a God that brought me home. Look, I don't just use the word God. I do use the name that I told you earlier. Mm-hmm. Most people would look a little funny, especially Jewish, my Jewish brothers and sisters, because of the name that I use. Mm-hmm. You got to remember, the Jewish people don't even use the word because it's sacred. Mm-hmm. The reason why God exists is to keep it sacred until you maybe do it on your pray to yourself. But hey, this is how I actually know I made it home out of prison. Both of my parents died since I've been home. I'm sorry to hear that. Look, they were the biggest. If you go and search my parents' name and find out what they done, you'll understand how special they was. They went to Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1991, and my sister gave my niece into temporary custody for a little while. She was going through some things. Minnesota, Minneapolis have a bad history of giving Black children to white foster families. Against there's a woman right now going through the same exact thing my parents went through. I'm trying to figure out how to help her now. But my parents ended up fighting the system, became the first family to actually win their child from out of a white foster family's custody. And the family was good. But it was the fact of how the system misused and misappropriated the children. They're still doing it now. I got a lot of fights, believe me, but how to actually make people hear the voice, this woman's voice, how she can help get her child. She been going through it for 4 years. My parents went through it for 18 months or 2.5 years, but they won. You got to know how you can utilize, and the woman didn't even know I existed. Somehow I was looking up my mother's name, trying to find out their case, and found this lady. This was God. Mm-hmm. Now, how I'm able to utilize everything to make stuff better and help people's lives is how I'm able to make the rest of all of our lives better. I'm tired of seeing Black people shot and killed by the police. I live the rest of my life fighting that fight. There's ways that police and Black people can associate and become and make this thing friendlier. But if one's not listening, and you have to learn how people learn. Teachers are important for one reason. They find out how people learn. They find out whether it's auditory, whether it's visual, whether it's kinesthetic. Once you find out, this is how you learn. Most of these white police officers, they need visualization. Mm-hmm. Once we realize that we can change things and make this thing change, you have to get their feelings involved. The only reason why art is so powerful, once you tap into people's feelings, once people see their feelings are involved, then they're willing to, even if they don't like it, eventually they'll do something to help. Once they know they got a voice to help. Most of your Black people, they don't even think they can actually say anything or do anything to stop this stuff. They can't. If God created the world through voice, that means your voice is powerful. If you can speak things into existence, what are you speaking? Now, I believe God's going to use me to change this situation. How we involve, how we deal with one another. Racist, period. If so, I'm willing to stand up and step. The same thing with Martin Luther King done. Malcolm X decided to be a leader. Until you're willing to be a leader and you know that you got leader qualities, you can't be something that you don't know. Right. I had to go to prison and learn stuff in order to be a leader. Now it's how you learn to lead. Am I a vengeful person, or am I a person who want to take and help build everything, build communities? I believe in communities. I don't believe in hurting people. I don't wish that anybody go through what's in that book, because that was horrifying for the people who went through it. But all I want is an understanding.
Hello, thanks for listening to the Erratic Dispatches podcast. We'll be back shortly after a brief break. Thanks again for tuning in to this latest episode of the Erratic Dispatches podcast, featuring an interview with my guest, Carlos Walker. For the podcast episode on my Anchor FM profile page, there are various links. Actually, with the image I'm using for this podcast episode, there is a code, a QR code for any of you out there that want to read or check out Carlos's book, What If? A Historical Fiction Novel. If you scan the code, you can get free access to reading the book. Or if you'd like, you can actually purchase a paperback edition of it through the Amazon link. And also make sure to check out Carlos's Instagram profile, where he does regularly update and post new paintings that he's done and he's working on. Also, there's a link to an interview from him from Mogul magazine from the UK. So I hope all of you out there definitely check out Carlos's work. And also, for those of you who've been listening to my podcast for a while, I do have a contribution donation buttons located on both my Anchor FM profile and also with my website through Erratic Dispatches, hosted by Brooklyn Digital Media Inc. Any kind of contribution, donation would be greatly appreciated. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll be back with a new episode. Take care. Bye-bye.